Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And today, I'm going to do a video where I'm not critical of someone at all. This is going to be a completely positive video. I know, sometimes I give Omar a hard time, but he made a video that I really appreciated, and I want to talk about it. So let me go ahead and put on my +5 hat of speechcraft, lovingly called my +5 hat of autism by many of you, and let's talk about this. And the reason I like this video is that it spoke to me, and I feel like I'm someone who can actually have some input on this topic. And he talked about why people quit training, and he talked about the difference between people who are kind of lifers, long-termers, versus people who just do it a few years and then they give up. And you see it all the time. And I would say that he is absolutely right. It is about process versus outcome oriented mindset. Meaning people who have just a specific goal and something they want to entirely focus on when they train, and that's their motivation for training, those people are not going to be training a decade from now. They're going to be done. I can tell you right now. And I can tell when I watch the comments, and I'm very nice about it, but I mean, a lot of people forget. I've been doing this a long time. They sometimes forget my age. They forget that I'm also someone who, due to a physical illness, was forced to take several years away from training in my early 30s. And I actually spent a long time in bed sick. Got really, really out of shape. Then came back and competed, did powerlifting meets, got invited to WPC Worlds and all that stuff. So I am pretty much a lifer. Like for me, that was a big deal. That was a major motivator. Having been a powerlifter and everything before, getting sick, not being able to train, being able to come back really gave training for me something of just intrinsic value that I do not take for granted. I don't take it for granted at all, ever, for a single day. But he talked about that difference, is that people who get too focused on the goal, for good or bad, versus people who learn to do it for the enjoyment of the process, tend to stick these things out much, much longer. It doesn't matter what the activity is, and training's high on that list, and training's something we should all be doing. And that's the kind of the thing. It's that I think people, even when they look at a goal, they get too fixated on the goal and the outcome with training instead of the actual process. Because if you get so fixated on that goal, sometimes you don't think through the correct process or back engineer the process to say, hey, my goal is to bench 400 pounds, right? They don't always think through. They get so focused on the goal without thinking of what's the best way to get there, what's the most efficient way to get there, what's the lowest injury way to get there, what's the way that's not going to hurt my health, what's going to be the thing that's going to keep me in the game longer in my journey to get to a 400 bench. They don't think through that process, and that's usually younger guys who haven't been doing this as long, or they don't have the guidance of a coach. And I mean, the perfect examples, and I can tell immediately when I read my comments and I see the people like, Jason, you should just get shredded this year and prove your haters wrong. And it's like, first of all, anyone who thinks you can prove a hater wrong is really new to the internet. You're probably 15 years old if you think it's possible to shut haters up, right? What do I mean by that? Meaning a person who's got haters could suddenly have $50 million and a 12-inch cock, and their haters would still talk smack about them. Like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can't shut haters up. But the point is, you can also tell that those are people who are entirely outcome oriented. They don't ever think, Jason's been slowly getting leaner over time now anyways, right? Look at me a year ago. Look at me a year ago versus right now. I'm obviously a hell of a lot leaner. 40 pounds lighter body weight. Have you guys seen me gain any weight, any body fat? Nope. I've not gained a single pound of body weight this year. I'm obviously not bulking. But it is, for me, what is my motivation to train? And this is what I would always remind people. And I'm saying this as a lifer, and I'm not saying you guys have to follow my path. I'm saying you got to find your own path. If you guys still want to be training 10 years from now, you still want to be training 20 years from now, I'm interested in helping you. People who only want to train for 5 years, I could give a shit less about you. I don't even care. I don't care if you're gone 5 years from now. Then nobody cares about you. Like, this is not your world. Training's not your world. The philosophies of those of us who are serious lifters, we're not for you, because you're not one of us, right? You're not one of us. If your goal is to just lift a little bit for a couple years and then quit when you finish college or whatever, I mean, you're not one of us. So there's no point in giving you advice. You're a waste of time. But for the people who say, hey, I still want to be training in a decade, all right, here's what I would say. You have to find your intrinsic reason for training. I know why I train. Like this is not a tough thing for me. It's not something I have to sit around and think about. I know on a deep level why I lift. I lift because I like strength. I value physical strength. That is my thing. That is what I really, really enjoy. And it took me a while to come to that realization when I started lifting. There was a point when I thought, well, I wanted to lift just to get bigger and gain muscle. But I realized on a deep subconscious level, that's not what it was. It's that I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to be strong. That's what it came down to. And that's why I lift. And I love putting up big numbers. So everything that I do is geared around that. And so for someone like me, it's always a case of, can I be as strong as possible at any given body weight? Not just can I keep getting leaner. It's like, well, I need to be as strong as possible. Then, if I need to get leaner, maybe make a weight class or something later to be a more efficient lifter, right? But we don't ever step back from our reason for training, because if you step back from your reason for training purely for an outcome that detaches from your motivation, you're not going to stick it out. You're not going to stick it out. Take someone again like me. I was put in situations, even since I've been on YouTube, to where my training became a problem. Like I had external factors outside of the actual weight room itself making my training difficult, making finding a place to train difficult. Aspects of my private life interfered. And so, now that I have those things out of the way, I'm now training very effectively, making fantastic strength gains while even staying at the same body weight, right? Everything's going up. And people are starting to notice now. It's like, okay, this is actually working. But it's a process. It's a slow process. And for me, I have loose goals. I don't even always state my goals. I'll kind of give some BS so that people feel like they can see some goal I'm working towards. But I keep my goals to myself as loose goals. Because again, you don't need to hear that peanut gallery sometimes when you're working towards goals influencing you. And for me, though, it is to be as strong as possible. It's to be as strong as humanly possible at any given age, at any given body weight, whatever I'm doing, with minimizing my chance of injury. I don't want to get hurt. And that's what it comes down to, being as strong as possible with the lowest risk of injury, right? And with minimal harm to my health. That's my goals. But I love the process, and I love strength. That is my motivation. That's what keeps me training. That's what keeps me training. The idea of a heavy-ass deadlift, a heavy-ass squat, those things, that's the reason I train. Big numbers, big lifts. That's why I don't like the bench as much. That's why I have to kind of specialize now in the bench right now, exactly for that reason, because the bench is a smaller exercise. There's less weight on the bar. That makes it less enjoyable to focus on, right? That's actually it. That's purely it. That's my reason I don't like the bench press. It's the lightest of the three big lifts. Therefore, it's not as fun of a goal to work towards, because I like lifting big weights. Which is why the deadlift is my favorite exercise, because it's the weight out of the big three that you can lift the most weight. Therefore, it's my favorite. It's pretty simple. And when you think about it, we all have our motivations. We have our things we enjoy. And that's what he pointed out. If you don't find your real motivation and your joy behind your training, and you're purely outcome-based instead of the process, you're not going to be a lifer. You're not going to stick this out. You guys really and truly have to find your intrinsic motivation for training. And if it's purely outcome-based, you're going to need to reorient your brain towards a process-based. What is it that you like? Like, why do you even want those outcomes? What's your reason for it? And you need to find a way to turn that into the process itself and the love of the process. Right, and for me, it's about the heavy weights. Like my dynamic effort days, I do them. Do you know why I do them? Because they carry over to my heavy days. That's why I do them. But I enjoy my heavy days. That's my fun. That's what I really dig. So for me, Monday and Tuesday right now, my max effort days, man, those are fun. I love those. The dynamic effort and all the repetition work is just there to support that. And I do it because it's a necessary part of the process, but I do it because I love the heavy days. I love it. It makes me happy. It gives me joy. It actually gives me joy. Like, I'm actually happy when I'm under a heavy barbell. It actually gives me joy, just like a lot of people get joy from taking a drug. I like it. It's fun. I enjoy it. Makes me happy. And that's what you have to do with this stuff. You have to find a part of the process that you love enough that you will continue to do this for life. And that's what it comes down to. And Omar's absolutely right on that. But you have to keep track of that and balance that with the goals, with the process sometimes. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.